What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I, or Expert, and today we have a newer series coming. It was something I did a while ago. If you were a fan of the channel, like a few years back, we did something called a true tier list, and it was basically me going through every character in the game in a randomized fashion and putting them where they should logically be at the time of making that video, and not just saying like, oh, for instance, this R character Twigo is like F tier because obviously he's not usable in PvP. No, every character can be used in some fashion of the game, and that was the premise of the true tier list. So if you want to actually check that out, I do have the playlist of that. I'm not making more videos on that, but I do have something new coming for that type of content, and that's going to be my character analysis guides, right? That's what we're going to be doing here. For the new characters that drop, I'm going to be giving my personal opinions on each character. I'm going to tell you how they function, how you should be using them, in the content they're used for, the teams that you can use in PvP and PvE at the respective order. And we're just going to be going through each character as I pull them. Now, if I don't pull the character, I'll probably do the guide when I end up pulling them eventually. But for now, we're just going to do the characters that I pulled for because I own them. So I have the experience using them in different content here and there. And then also just the open influence of social media that will probably judge some of the more nuanced things that I might not recommend for the character, but it is possible. So yeah, this is going to be a wordy one. It's not going to be much gameplay because most of the content that he's circled around I've already done for the week. So I can't really show gameplay of this character, but I do know that he works because I have plenty of outsources. So yes, this is gonna be a wordy one. So sit back, relax, enjoy the video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We're like 2 subs away from hitting 2,700 at the time of me recording this video. So hopefully we hit that when this video drops, and hopefully this video also gets, you know, support, because I do want to make more guide-like videos like this for the foreseeable future, because genuinely, PvP is just not that fun to record. It's just the same shit over and over again, the same meta teams over and over again. And then when you try to have fun with the new unit, it's just annoying if you're not using the meta team. So, that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into Big Boy DROLE, the Giant Warrior of Peace. Now, when it comes to DROLE, the red one, the new one, we're going to be going through this for like every character, but it's going to be very simplistic in terms of the order of things I'm going to talk about. First, we're going to talk about their PvP potential, and then we're going to talk about their PvE potential, and then like the miscellaneous stuff at the end, if there is any miscellaneous things that you need to know about this character. But also, obviously, we have to start off with this kit, right? Which I'm going to just give you the brief rundown. It's not that crazy, so if the kit's crazy, it'll be longer. But for DROLE specifically, he doesn't have anything insane. He has a Pierce card that drains ult, and then he also has an Amplify card. Both single targets. The Pierce card does not do that much damage. The Amplify card actually does do decent damage. I've killed many of the more top tier characters in the game in PvP with this card. I've killed Eliotuses in like one-shotting them with a level 2 of this card to get through like half of their health on a revive and stuff like that. So it is a reliable source to kill things with, but it's not like great, right? Because DROLE as a character has year 1 stats, and what that means is this DROLE that we have here, the DROLE of Patience, is that named character is a year 1 character. He came out the first year of the game, therefore his stats are still outdated. That's why they gave him like a little bit of oomph in his kit. That's why he has Amplify, because his commandment revolves on buffs. So it's not really a buff to his stats, it's just a buff to his damage dealt. That's what Amplify does, 30% damage dealt per buff, and he gives himself a lot of buffs. The Pierce card is just utility. Just think of it as an ult drain. The Pierce is never going to do real damage. It's a one-hit card, just like the other one. It's not going to be that important for the long scheme of things. In terms of its ultimate, however, they gave him an increased damage dealt by 50%, which is not his normal ultimate. It is specifically for this red DROLE, which means that someone said in the comments of my last DROLE summons video, which he was very on point, and I had an inkling about it as well, that this was supposed to be like an LR DROLE kit or a new DROLE kit that wasn't an outdated source. But now that they know that he's outdated, they gave this DROLE specifically the 50% damage dealt increase instead of the normal ult that he has, which is just a charge AoE. Now going into his cards overall, His kit is very like attack heavy for some reason, but he is not a DPS character. He's not. He is a hardcore support. And we get into that through his uniques and stuff. His commandments, every time you get hit, you get a resistance buff by 30% up to 3 turns. And that's every time you take damage, which is, you know, pretty substantial in the front slot. But as a commandment that doesn't work in a sub slot, not that great. But it is good when he comes out on the field. As his passive, which is why he's a support character, makes him a sub slot character. Every giant increases base stacks by 7, so he scales slightly higher, well not slightly higher, slightly lower than green Matrona or any Matrona with their Holy Relic, because Matrona gives 25% base stacks to giants by default. And for every giant ally in battle, this is giving you 4, because, no, it gives you 3, because it doesn't actually count the sub slide. So you're getting 21% giant stats for this character. So you're getting less base stats, but he also comes with extra stuff, right? He has the damage taken reduction if you get crit. He has the other part of his passive where he turns, or when you take damage, you get a difference with his stat increase, which also scales with his amplify and his commandment. So he is relatively usable in the front, quote unquote, because that's 5 free buffs. And then his commandment stacks infinitely. No, his commandment stacks to 3. I'm tripping. So that's 7 buffs. And 30% times 7, that's 210% or something. I don't know, math is hard sometimes off the top of my head. So yes, this scales crazy. And then for each buff applied, you also get a basic stat increase by 10% up to 5. That's disgusting. So now at that point, he then scales higher than Matrona, because he gets a 50% basic stat increase if you have 5 buffs, which is beautiful. So now, as a subslot and a giant subslot, he is the best giant in the game for that slot. There is no other giant that supports like him. The only giant support is Matrona, and she's not that good in the subslot anyway. LR King does exist. You could still technically use LR King if you want a better CC, but if you want a real, like a legit giant race team, you would probably want to use DROLE, because, you know, King is a fairy and he doesn't do anything if he comes out of the back for your team. He is literally just for the subslot passive. And then also to add on to that, you know, his Holy Relic is also another buff. Decreases allies damage taken by 5% for each buff on a hero. So he has a lot of buffs going for him. Therefore, that Amplify card is going to hit really hard. Now, when we're done with his kit, overall his kit is really good. His cards are useless, but he's a subslot character. You don't really care about his cards. It's more or less unique. Now, going into, you know, his teams and stuff like that. But before we get there, I would recommend for gear, HP defense. He's a subslot character. All sub-slot characters deserve HP defense. They will never be DPS characters. Do not give them attack crit or attack defense. Especially DROLE, because his crit chance is non-existent at 46%. Because day 1 stats. Gotta remember that. So give him HP defense. That's gonna be the best for him. And you just work with what you got. Now, in terms of teams, we're gonna have to work through a little bit here, because again, there's not that many teams for DROLE, because giants are just now becoming like really strong, really meta. But for DROLE, right, we're gonna do 2 different types of things here. We're gonna do a quote-unquote frontline team, which is not practical at any point. Actually, okay, I'm gonna lie. I'm taking that back. We're not doing a front slot. I'm gonna make these videos as precise as possible, and not like for Giga Whale teams that can use them. I'm gonna make the user-friendly versions of all these teams. Now, if you are a Giga Whale, you can run DROLE in the front, and he will do really good. But if you're not, you're a casual player, you're like 13 mil CC or anything like that, you're running him in a subslot, and that's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's gonna be in the back, and your teams are gonna be straight giants, and they're gonna be looking more like, you know, your casual giant team. So you're gonna have Scold, you're gonna have Loki, and then for that last giant, you're gonna have King of Dian. And this is going to be your best team with DROLE. And this is like one of like top 3 teams in the game right now, maybe number 1. It does really good against Aqua and the Goddess team, so it's not bad. It's actually like literally top 3 teams. It just gets RNG dependent at some point, especially if Aqua gets like 15,000 freeze cards. But point is, this is the best giant team for DROLE. And now you might ask, well, you don't have Scold, you don't have Loki, or you don't have King Dian. Who can you use to replace said characters? I'm gonna be real. If you don't have Scold, you're low-key out of luck. You can use Scotty. You can. The green one, not the blue one, not the red one. You can use the green one, because Loki is still a decent damage dealer on his own. And then if you don't have Scold or Scotty, worst case scenario, you can pull Matrona. But if you're that deep into the bag, it's not worth it. just don't even run the giant team. So if you don't have Scold or you don't have Scotty to replace Scold, don't run it. It's that simple. And moving on, if you don't have Loki, you have a little bit more leeway here because you can run, like, again, you can run green Scotty. You can do that. You can run green Matrona. You can run red Matrona. You have a little more options there. But again, if you don't have like Scotty to replace Loki, or at least green Matrona, then you're out of luck, like completely, because that's just going too far into the back. And then last but not least, if you do not have King Diane, the best replacement, if not like these two characters are head to head, it's gonna be LRDN. You can run this team with LRDN or King Diane and you will have good results. And then other than that, would I recommend using Ragnarok Diane? No, not really, not at all. She's not good. It's not good. It's not worth it. And then would I recommend Matrona replacing Diane? Fuck no, absolutely not. She's not good enough to replace Diane. So if you don't have King Diane and or you don't have LR Diane, again, it's one of those situations where you probably just don't want to run the giant team, aka you probably just don't want to pull for DROLE. Like, it's very small amount of characters, and every character for the giant team has been released in like the last 2 months, give or take. So those are going to be the layouts for your PvP teams, and if you don't have them, don't run them. You're better off running the unknown setup for Scold, or not even DROLE, just keeping Matrona in the back or using LR King at that point. You got to make sure you're budgeting your actual teams and stuff like that. But if you can do it, you're going to have a good time. Now, in terms of PvE content, because we're going to go ahead and move on here, we have all the PvE stuff here. I would low-key go into them individually and like show you the teams, but with DROLE, it's very simple. Those teams that I showed you are more or less the only teams that work with him in PvP and PvE, so it's not going to be that much of a difference, okay? So just to kind of speed run this portion of the video, we're going to start from the top and work our way down. That's just going to be that simple. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, I'll let you know and you can just skip over this part. But starting at the top, Hero Arena. Yes. Reason he works in Hero Arena, because obviously Hero Arena is a relatively easy game mode. And to put that cherry on top, he's also the special season character, which means his stats are giga buffed. And if you run him, oh, I didn't finish my, oh, that's sad. I guess I can show you. But if you run him on Hero Arena, do I have our Hero Arena team for him? I don't think I wanted to use him because I don't have him geared all the way. But if you want to use him for Hero Arena, oh yeah, I was doing some fuck shit. I remember this. Okay. You would run DROLE and his team that I showed you earlier. Any of the Scold, Loki, Diane, Matrona-esque variants, Scotty, that's getting very thin. But again, the giant team isn't that crazy. It'll be the same thing, same premise. But the difference is, now that he's buffed in Hero Arena for the season, you can run him at a relatively low CC and complete Hero Arena in the higher champions, the challengers, and the legend difficulties, even if you go second. Especially if you go second. He's really good for legend difficulty going second. That team is disgustingly tanky, and you're going to do really well. I'm going to do it. I just need to reset that because I'm just fucking around and shit. But yes, for Hero Arena, he's a 100% useful character for the season. Now, will he be useful after the season? Probably not, because again, he's a day one character, so his stats are gonna drastically drop, especially since you can't use association links in the higher tiers of content. So you're probably not even gonna be able to go first in Challenger, let alone Champion, if you're running this character, whose max CC is like really freaking low. For example, I have one of the DROLEs decently built, the green one, and it's like 65.7. Don't get me wrong, that's not bad, considering I don't have max cosmetics, and I have his gear done, right? They're all 15%. So I have his gear finished, and he's at 65.7. So if I had the cosmetics, he probably hit 60, 68 maybe. That's not horrible, but you can easily get higher CC with more recent characters. It's super easy. And that's probably where he caps out, somewhere in the 68 to 69 region, because usually when same name characters come out, they have slightly more basic stats than the OG variants. So he probably does scale a little bit higher, but not enough to like warrant him being used in Hero Arena after this season. And then just to talk about the non-factors that aren't available in this update, because again, this is going to be for all PvE content. He's probably going to be good for final boss if there is a giant variant in there. So if you want to get some final boss scores, he's probably going to be good there. Labyrinth, I mean, that's RNG dependent, so it's not going to be much to talk about there if you get him. I doubt he's going to even be in Labyrinth. That's not up to me, so I don't really know that for sure. And then Leona's defense, he's probably going to be, again, useless, since he's not going to be the buffed out unit, and his stats are extremely low, especially in the wave 90 plus area of Leona's defense, since that shit gets scaly and they start hitting hard. So Drole is probably going to be dead by like wave 70, 9 times out of 10. Now, moving on from there, we got special dungeon. So what I'm going to do for special dungeon for this video and then future videos like this, I'm going to be talking about more like auto farming and stuff like that. And when it comes to Drole, he is a terrible auto farmer. He has 2 single targets. Do not use him for autoing anything. He's useless. And he has no like special abilities when he autos either. And there is no giants that are good auto farming except for Scotty. Loki might be okay, but I never used him with auto, so I don't know if they'll prioritize his AoE or not. Point is, Scotty would AoE a lot because she's a debuff AoE kind of character, so the AI would prefer her over other characters, especially going first on that first card. So realistically, he might be okay, but it's not worth it. There's better characters out there. And for boss battle death matches, he's red, so his options are Original Demon and Crimson. You can do him in Crimson, that's easy. Team whatever the fuck you want. OG Demon, there are no giant red units that are good except for Summer of the End, but even still, that's one character of 3. So he's not worth using in deathmatch at all. Demon King, he is actually pretty good for Demon King. Do I have one? No, I don't. That's sad. But he is good for Demon King because Scold and Loki are pretty strong in Demon King because they can kind of like ignore the rules and just do damage and not care about the corrosions and shit like that, depending on the RNG as well. But you can do it with those teams, and you can replace the Matrona for this Drole and have a better survivability, you know what I mean? So he is really good for Demon King, funny enough. Night Hub bosses, whatever. Creature Nest, Drole is okay. I mean, Rosvelger is easy. He can probably do it. Eklnir is easy. He could probably do it, just not floor 4. Skull and Hottie is easy, but he's probably useless since he doesn't have AoEs. But he can buff the giant team, so he probably would be a pretty good character. But I feel like Magelda or Thonar would just be better. Or just 4 AoE units, it doesn't matter. He's not usable in Needhogger, and he's not usable in Ratatoskr. Anyone who tells you that, they're lying. I saw videos of people like doing Ratatoskr with Drole. People forget to mention that those type of Ratatoskr videos are so skewed, it's stupid, and I just don't like doing them personally, because they forget to mention that the shit is super RNG dependent, but they'll record the video and then they'll post the completed no errors portion of the video and be like, yeah man, this character's broken, this character's crazy, this character's busted. No bro, that shit took 55 tries, I guarantee you, because the Loki team, for example, right, that people wanted to run, this is a little side tangent, the Loki Skull team, that shit's a 50-50 regardless of how strong your team is. It's a 50-50 every time because you don't have the DOTs on floor 3. So if you do not win the 50-50, you will reset. That's not worth your brain cells, I'm gonna be real. Unless you're really lucky, go for it. And if you've been consistently lucky, sure, but it's not worth it in my opinion. So Drole, in my opinion, isn't worth using on Ratatoskr. On Brawl, he's probably okay, I'd imagine. He's probably a good one for the giant AI team, I guess. And then everything else is kind of like mandatory there. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do these videos. It's just going to be a little commentary piece on the new characters and how I feel about them. Overall, I think Drole is a good character. I think he's probably he's the best giant support in the game. He is, because there aren't any. So he has no competition, to be fair. So already, off of that fact alone, and his only competition is Matrona, and she does literally nothing. He's a 10 out of 10 unit, technically. Like, if you want to be really accurate, he is a 10 out of 10 unit, because no one does what he does for giants. Literally no one. Until proven otherwise, he is dead ass a 10 out of 10 unit. It is what it is. And people are going to like try to skew what I mean by that, because like, oh, he's not that good. Well, obviously he's not that good. He's an outdated unit, and it's Drole. They're probably not really caring about his kit that much. They just did that for the nostalgia 7DS people like me. So it's gonna be weird, but just trust me on that part when I mean that he's 10 out of 10. If I have to debate with you about it, I will. Obviously, I'm willing to talk to anyone about anything, but that's just my opinion. That's what these videos are gonna be. So with that out of the way, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see y'all when I see y'all. All right, peace and have a wonderful day.